I can breathe easier now. Honestly, Virat Kohli is the only man in the game who can make a dead rubber look like an absolute thriller, cracker-jacker. Take a bow, Virat Kohli. You've registered your first ever World Cup 100 in a chase, and that's a stat thrown in by Nikhil Popar, who's, of course, waiting kindly to say what right now, Nikhil. What are the words coming out of your mouth? Because India won, but apparently that's not the biggest thing that India is celebrating right now.
Professional says by a thorough professional in the king. I keep saying this. We'll miss this when it's not there. But he's set the template in ODIs for people for years. I don't know if they'll have this format for years to come, but very few have aged the format as well and as clinically as Virat has, and uh, it's incredible. The way he started, the free hit, the six, the four. It's like wow, this is it couldn't have been set up better, and it's a regular chase. Everybody tries to go big, not able to do that at times, but Virat stays there, takes India home, familiar territory.
Yeah, familiar territory and something really comforting. It's like eating dal rice in a winter morning, right? The things that can't go wrong in terms of cricket viewing. Gurkirat, first and foremost, talk to me about this Richard Kettleborough as well. How the hell is he not called wide? Is he scared of the overshadowing BCCI looming large on his head? I mean, what is it? That was bang on wide. I'm not going to play a devil's advocate here. And also, were you surprised 20 runs in, he's sending KL back? Because that made Pune crowd go mad, bro.
Yeah, I mean, probably the only reason Kettleborough did not do it because he realized what was the intention behind it.
But
Maybe
how can
that.
you do that? You're an umpire.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe then, I don't know. I've just read a tweet by Peter Dellapena, and it makes sense that the umpire cannot be on the charade. Like if it's a wide, you have to give it a wide. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say on this because I personally felt that Kohli left the acceleration for his 100 way too late. I mean, there was at one point of time it looked like that he wasn't even bothering about the 100. He was just sort of, more than happy to stay till the end. And then suddenly he realized when he got that six that I now want to
Was
get
it
that run.
was it a selfish move then? Let's be honest and call it for what it was.
Sorry.
Was it a selfish move, do you feel?
So before I answer that, it's something that I've always said that we say that okay, players play for the team, players play for the country, etc., 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 but they also play for themselves, because if they will not play for themselves or they will not put in those performances, they will not make it to the team. So yeah, you could say it was a tad bit selfish, but like Nikhil has repeated when we were talking about this in the previous game or that game versus Australia, that
In the
the system is such that you talk about these milestones and hundreds a lot. So sometimes you can sense that desperation. And today Kohli's gotten a World Cup 100 after 20 World Cup games, because the last one that he got was versus Pakistan in 2015, which was the first game of that World Cup. So it's something I don't know. I think it falls in that gray area because it did not end up hurting the team, because the team had already secured the game. So it falls in that gray area, uh, and it is what it is. I mean, it's it, it's difficult to sum it up.
It's tough to kind of say it for as it is. But look, I want to ask Nikhil this. We just saw the celebration of Virat Kohli in slow mo. He's absolutely pumped. We normally associate Kohli being pumped. Is there a particular reason why he wanted this 100 so much, Nikhil? I'm trying to guess. Okay, fine. The stat that Gurkira just threw out right now, first World Cup 100 after 20 innings. So is it like the monkey off his back? Because that celebration, it came like as if it was a semi-final or final today.
Yeah, I mean, you can also go back to that one point where he shared in a recent broadcast interview that I saw. I don't remember when it was shot, but he said that when I waited a long time for a century, and when I got it and I celebrated, I was laughing at myself that, okay, is this that something that I was getting very desperate for, only for this moment? But again, it tells you that sometimes it's how just you are in the part of this system, that it is something that is savored. It is something that is savored and talked by everybody that's there. I don't think it's. I mean, it's number 48 for him in this format. Uh, Over 26,000 international runs. So maybe it definitely meant something to him. We don't know what. Maybe we can hear his quotes from the post-match, presser. But as I said, as long as it's part of the system, it's not going to go out of it. So, and as Paji said, it did not hurt the chances of the team. So but people will still talk about it. The next time there is an occasion where somebody else is doing it, there'll again be a debate whether you should do it, when you should do it, and what is and what not. So, uh, of course, it meant to him, which is why that celebration. And yeah, today did not hurt the team, and hopefully that is the case going forward as well.
Gurkirat is one away from the great man Sachin Tendulkar, who achieved this feat taking a lot more games, but it's almost inevitable right now that he'll eclipse him in ODIs in terms of the centuries. Does it really kind of sum him up as an ODI cricketer? He just loves this format. We saw placards being Virat Kohli, the GOAT. Do you agree with those kind of statements? Because let's make no mistake, we're seeing one of the best in the business, if
Yeah,
not the
without a doubt. I just say one thing. I mean, if scoring a 50 is going to bring down your average, then that tells a lot about how much you've done in this format, because his average is somewhere between 58 59. So just a 50 is not enough to maintain that average. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to sum up in just numbers or words how good he has been in this format. The kind of assurance that he's brought in many chases, which has actually not been India's strongest suit. India have struggled a lot. Is something that only those who have watched him in those games or have watched an era before him will understand that, because I have watched games where India has just struggled to chase anything. You just knew that if there is more than 230 240 on the board, chase could be a struggle. But when Virat came in, you knew that uh, more or less chases will get done. So that's something which is his biggest legacy as a batter. So yeah, I mean, numbers wise, everyone knows what those numbers are. Like I said, there will be very few batters for whom you could say that, oh, that player scores a 50 and the average goes down. So that's the best number that you can talk when it comes to talking about Virat. And just to finish that conversation that happened about that 100, it's not ideal, but let's hope that the viewers and everyone in the part, everyone who's a part of the game just become mature enough that after a good innings the talk is not, oh, the player missed 100, because we spoke of that about Rohit in the last game, we spoke of today even when Gill got out. So let's just hope that the entire ecosystem becomes better that way, because I'm sure if had Virat not got to that 100, many would have said, oh, he's missed that out, etc etc. And when I say that, I'm not saying that I'm not a part of it, because I would have also felt that disappointment somewhere. We are all trying to get over it, but it's just so ingrained in us, because we've also been watching now for almost 2 decades, and we've also grown up in that era. Oh, hundreds are important, hundreds are important. Now that we are growing up, we also have to do this unlearning, and that unlearning is more difficult part than learning something. So it's just that. So that's why I said this area falls in the gray. It's not exactly black, it's not exactly white.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, lots of people chipping in the comments, and keep them coming through because we'll be here for a little bit longer in discussing not just Virat, but of course, even the smallest of smallest blips in India's win against Bangladesh by 7 wickets. The biggest one is, of course, Hardik Pandya, which we'll, of course, talk about in just a bit. Max Mojo going to say, felt a bit of ick watching that happy ending for Virat Kohli, of course, but that was a bit too much, I feel. And I think there was another comment over here. KL has not been out in this World Cup till now. No one talks about that. People only talk about 50s and centuries. It's a good point, which we'll, of course, talk about. And Arban saying Rahul Dravid wouldn't be too happy, I guess, considering his declaration when Sachin was at 194. I mean, honestly, keep your comments coming through like Vivek Chavla has as well. Had Kohli been stranded in the 90s, a man of the match would have been Jaddu. As Kohli got to 100, he's a judged man of the match. Just too harsh on bowlers based on differences between the 90s and the tons. Absolutely agree with you 100%. And Baba Rao update, good to see you as well. So, guys, honestly, like this video because look, Virat Kohli 100, his 27th in an ODI run chase. He scored over 5,600 runs, 5,691 to be precise, in terms of ODI run chases. And that's head and shoulders above everyone who's played the 50 over format. Right, we'll show you more things, but first up, just to draw your memory closer to what happened out there in Pune. We'll, of course, show you the match summary right now because Bangladesh, the only thing they won was the toss and they inserted India, beg your pardon, they inserted themselves in, getting 256 for 8, as you can see. Litton Das contributions, and of course, not to forget Mehmudullah Azhar with this 46. But Jadeja was stand up, brilliant. Bumrah doing what he does, and Siraj getting 2 for as well. And in reply, India commanding absolutely brilliant run chase, finishing it off with 8.5 overs to spare, which will do their points table a world of good. Beg your pardon, the points on the points table, which we can reflect right now. And it still doesn't mean that they overtake New Zealand after the first 4 games this World Cup. So Bangladesh, they've lost 3 out of their first 4 now. But India, as you can see, 8 points. And of course, they face the tough task of New Zealand next on Sunday. Right, gentlemen, it's been an absolute fantastic game. Let's start chronologically because even though we've had the mid innings and we've spoken about various things in the preview, let's start with the chase and Rohit Sharma because what that man is doing is honestly crazy, Nikhil Popper. I mean, you look at even the pitch map to Rohit right now in the power play, and it just tells you a sorry tale if you're a bowler, right? I mean, what is this? Because essentially, if you're slightly loose, you're going and you're paying the big maximums, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and just credit to Rohit because a lot of us have discussed about his game when he's going like this in other formats, and we have said that okay, maybe he's someone who should probably take a bit more time, but he's found a way to find the right margins, and that is something that's very very critical in terms of picking which one to hit and which one to not go after, and that again just hallmarks the kind of guy that Rohit has been in terms of his ODI exploits. That you see on short he's going at 327, on slot he's 218. So your only chance there is a Yorker, and if you miss it, it's most likely going to be a full toss, which he can any which ways dump wherever he wants to. So again, what he's actually doing is he's putting a lot of pressure early on that you can't cover, and that pressure is proving to be too much at this point of time for many sides that they find it difficult. Okay, now where do we go to? So then suddenly your mind is then changing from how do I get him out to where do I not get him to hit, and that is something that everybody tries to do, but it's not something that you can do as easily. So credit to Rohit to be able to pull it off as far. The challenge will of course be to keep doing it because you will have other teams. You'll have New Zealand, England, everybody now being ready for it. So what else is the plan now? Will teams start bowling today? You saw Nasum Ahmed coming in very early. So will that change up how teams are approaching both Rohit and Gill in the power play? That could also be something to be looked out for. But so far, so good, and you can't ask for anything more from Rohit up top.
Baji, he looks like he's in the mood, right? I mean, sometimes they keep stressing upon the same things. Oh, Rohit has time. Rohit has so much more time than any other batter. Then he's flexing his muscles in front of Marius Erasmus against Pakistan and saying "Par hai." Then you can see the lip reading when he got out to Gill saying, "Yehi marna tha," and I wanted to keep it down. Didn't happen. But dude, like there was another stat during the game. He averages. I mean, we showed the strike rate 327 in the short ball, but he averages some 400 like a madman with the short ball. Like it's crazy, and I feel for Hassan, the young lad who made his debut, World Cup debut for Bangladesh, that is, and he was like going at it and it was a cat and mouse thing. Eventually, he had the last laugh, but you literally bowl short at your own peril against Rohit Sharma. He's honestly a crazy guy.
Yeah, pretty crazy that way. And see, Indian grounds are not big enough to even surprise him with the shorter one, unless you're probably playing at Nagpur, maybe Raipur, maybe Mohali, because with 65, 70-meter boundaries, you're not going to contain him. Uh, I feel the one thing that teams can look to do, especially when there is no help available, is try to not give him room, because right now what is happening is that either teams are bowling too wide, with wherein he's too good to actually punish any sort of width regardless of the length. That is important. See, regardless of the length, he's punishing any kind of width or any or if something is down the leg side. So I feel the only way now to sort of contain him is to probably bowl in that channel where he can't really free his arms. So maybe he's just forced to play in one direction, where probably straight or in the V. Because right now, with width being on offer, or bowling at his body. See, if it's at his body, he's able to transfer his weight and swivel towards anything, to any of that length to leg side, and when there is width, he's able to access areas of cover or point. So probably the idea can be to just make him hit in the V, and then see if any sort of late movement or anything can get an edge. Because right now, yeah, he's looking pretty much unstoppable. It's really Sehwag's level intent with the consistency of old Rohit. Because Rohit earlier, when he wasn't really going so hammer and tongs in the power play, was very consistent. But now he's just taken it another level. It's something that Jason Roy has done for England pretty well, but I think Rohit might just surpass him in that role, given how he's going.
Yeah, absolutely. Rohit remains, of course, at the top of the pops in terms of the most runs so far in the ICC Men's Cricket World Cup this year. So let's see how it goes forward. Right, time to, of course, revert back to Virat Kohli in terms of our top performer segment because we simply have to. Let's face it. I'm not being selfish, but the word selfish is trending on Twitter right now. Ha ha ha, saying Max Mojo. And of course, there was a question for Paji from Pranav Mohanlal saying, why did Paji say that Kohli 100 is not ideal? We'll come to that in just a bit. In just a bit. Nikhil Baiju also saying, not a typical 340 Pune track. Slow and ball wasn't coming on that easily. Best Kohli now, considering he's usually not as strong with slow surfaces. Nikhil, you take it away, and then I'll get Paji to answer Mohanlal's comment as well. Was it? I mean, I don't think it was the best 100, but do you see where the other Nikhil is coming from with that comment?
You're on mute.
Oh, he's done one.
Nice. I don't
Nice.
know why it's happened, but yeah, I don't think it was as gripping or as flat. Maybe it was somewhere in the middle, and but you didn't seem at any point of time that it was troubling. So that's where maybe the doubt that uh, whether it is his best or not, I don't think it was his best because he went at a decent rate. He got a great head start, which is something that you want, or you at times see that sometimes it's in that head start that he gets that short one early and may not be able to, sometimes he's mishit that. But today he just got into his groove very early after that free hit that hit down the ground. So I think post that it was just about he knew that he had ample amount of time and he was just able to construct the innings at the pace that he wanted to. And the only threat for him was Shakib, and he was not playing. And Nasum, he was more than happy to just play him off the back foot, just rotate there, getting across, and just driving it nicely to long off and longer. And so I don't think there was much to trouble in. You almost felt like it was like an autopilot knock for most part of it. So I think it was job well done, but I don't know if it is one of his best knocks for sure.
Okay, his third World Cup 100 for India, by the way. Two against Bangladesh, one coming against Pakistan as well. And talk about most ODI runs at an Indian venue. It's Virat Kohli actually at Vizag, and then Virat Kohli at Pune, which is closely catching up to that Vizag. Vizag, he has 587 runs, Pune 551 in 8 innings. All of this is available on the cricket.com app, website, so check it out right now. And of course, the live blog where I think Hardik Pandya is just probably just going all guns Virat Kohli in that live blog. And Virat Kohli in Pune, well, all you people have got your money's worth, like I said, with those stats. Time to, of course, go back to that question. What did you mean by that with regards to Ranlav's comment? Because let's get it out. I don't want people to slander you because I know you're the biggest Kohli fan and people sometimes mistake you by. I'll come to your
Yeah,
rescue.
I think Pranav caught that comment in the end. What I meant was that the way things panned out in that last 3-4 overs, they weren't ideal because you were putting a milestone ahead. But I also said that it falls in the gray area because it wasn't hurting the team. And I also explained that why, because we are obsessed with milestones, and sometimes getting that monkey off the back is important because it had been 20 ODI games in World Cups for Kohli to not get 100. Last World Cup, he had 550s, batted very well, but couldn't get one. And we saw that he couldn't get one versus Australia. Against Bangladesh, there weren't enough runs. So maybe it was that. So I explained why I said it was in the gray area and not something that that is ideal, because you
How
don't
did you
want
how did you
spin.
rate his game against spin today? Because normally people ask that question about Virat, especially in the recent times, especially again left arm spin. He played them all right, or do you think because anyway it was not a pressure situation, it was more nudge and nurdle
Yeah,
and fair
so
play to him?
against Miraz, he had a very good cover drive, which was good to see. And I felt more or less the pitch was such that he could go on the back foot and play spinners. So there wasn't a lot of he wasn't under any kind of examination from the spinners, also due to the pitch and the match situation. And his control rate is 95%, which I think only came down because of the last 10 balls, where he had a couple of shots where he lost shape. Pretty much he was, I think that control percentage would have been around 97, 98% had it not been for one of those miss hits in the end. So he was largely untested in this game. So yeah, I mean, and also not the best pitch to really judge how he played versus spin. And moreover, in ODIs, he doesn't really struggle that much because he knows that he doesn't have to attack them. So he
Hmm.
still averages, I think, around 50 against all kinds of spin. It's just that from the beginning of 2022 that he's gotten out to left arm spin quite often. And I feel that three of those dismissals came in Bangladesh in that series in 2022, where the pitches were also very different from what you encounter anyway. So there's that. But yeah, in it's a bigger problem in T20s because you have to hit spin. In ODIs, I think he's more than okay just rotating strike, and having that one fielder extra inside the circle also allows him to not go aerial and find those gaps. So like the cover drive that he played today against Miraz was outstanding. So I don't think he was troubled as such against spin. And just one thing that I wanted to add: Kohli's highest Test score has also come at Pune versus South Africa, 254 not out in
Oh yeah.
2019. So it's been a good venue for him.
Absolutely. By the way, lots of comments coming through and keep them coming through. By the way, Virat Kohli scoring his 48th one international ton. Can we get 48 likes minimum on this particular video right now? 67 if you'll watch it. Please just like it. Honestly, it wouldn't take anything out of your pocket. It's free to do. It'll put smiles in our faces, and cricket.com will be onwards and upwards as well. And I promise to God, we'll talk about everything. Greenwich Gonzalez will answer your question at the end of the show, whether we think Bangladesh are really out of the World Cup or they can still have their say. And of course, Noodle Haxa will talk about KL Rahul as well and how he's been remaining not out, because I can see him on the TV screen and how he's pretty chuffed right now with his work behind the stumps and, of course, in front of it as well. Let's just, of course, address the elephant in the room in terms of the big talking point from a negative perspective, Nikhil Popat, Hardik Pandya, and dare I say, if he's going to be ruled out for a couple of games, many people are thinking it's fine. We have Ashwin, even though he's a spin bowling all rounder. Ashwin can come and take his place. Is it that easy? No, right?
I mean, we've spent almost few years debating about Hardik's, importance to the side. So again, from what we've read, he's expected to be fit or recover. But again, we'll only get an official update maybe sometime later. But the concern will always be there because it's not easy to replace somebody like Hardik, a seam bowling all rounder with control, and a guy especially who can reconstruct an innings as well as Hardik did. In that, even I mean, there have been numerous examples, but the last one was the Pakistan Asia Cup fixture, where he combined with Ishan to give a very solid base after a very early collapse. So I think that is something that will definitely be missed. And without that, as we discussed, even in the mid innings, that maybe they may rest him, and in that case, they might just go back to a combination of 6 and 5. So you'd get an extra batter at 6 and play with 5 bowlers and then trust them to get the job done. So uh, of course it goes without saying how crucial Hardik Pandya is to this side and the balance that he provides to the team.
I mean, Gurpreet, you mentioned it as well. It's pretty much that combination which is staring us in the face, 6-5, and everyone's saying Shami is going to come in. We're playing New Zealand Dharamshala, and it makes it all the more sense to go for Shami because horse of horses. Do you think that's a straight swap, and then they can give Hardik what 10 days at best to recover for the England game in Lucknow?
Yeah, Shami coming in for Shardul and Sky coming in for Hardik could be the way to go. Uh, Also, see again, like we were discussing in the mid innings preview, if we are just going to judge Shardul by that 1 for 51 just by sheer figures, then we are not doing justice to his performance, because, like we explained, between the first over and the last over, there were 8 overs bowled with very good control, and he's anyway not there as a death bowler where he went for runs, and this was not an easy pitch to bowl on. So, and it's if you're going to scrutinize that 1 for 59 too much, then you might as well scrutinize Siraj's 2 for 60 as well. Uh, but having said that, if India decide to give Shami a game, I don't mind it, because, like how Nikhil was explaining, it could mean that Shami opens with Bumrah, and then India can use Siraj in the middle overs, who can also bowl the short one well. And who knows, that might just allow him to settle into his spell a lot better with greater protection, outside the circle. And if Shami is spot on, then the problem that India have had, that okay, they've not really started well, that might get addressed. And against New Zealand, a team again which looks at Conway to do well, or which looks at Ravindra to set up the tone, early wickets would be important. If India could scalp out Conway in that game early on, it really helps them set up the game and control how the innings will go. So it's not a bad thing by any stretch of imagination. The only thing that I fear is that if, say, they don't play Hardik for 2 games, then I hope they don't get caught up with the fact that now Hardik's back, but we still want to stick with Shami, because that way your batting depth takes a hit. So
Hmm.
might as well play Shami, but don't forget what was your first 11 or the original 11, because that could end up really confusing you, and that has happened with a lot of teams. With the Indian team is a special case in that regard. So that is the fear, nothing else.
Well, I think they won't really mess it up, but I see where you're coming from for sure. We'll talk about the bowlers. We'll talk about an excellent question posed by one of the guys in the comments about whether Bumrah's excellence is covering up Siraj's woes. But we'll, of course, talk about KL Rahul right now. And I'm not just going to talk about him because of the not outs or because of that sensational grab, but he's given me a big, important feeling in this year's World Cup. And that just spells safety, security, insurance policy, whatever you want to talk about, Knicks, because every time he's come out of bat, he's got the job done. Even in the series against Australia before the World Cup, we saw that where he captained and he was literally the mature head that you need in the middle order. And his numbers in ODI cricket at that position don't lie. How good is it that KL Rahul is looking in good form in the lead up to, of course, the business end of the tournament? Because he's one man who can, of course, consolidate, but also take the game away from the opposition.
Yeah, and who's surprised? We have been talking about this from the very moment that he came back from injury, that
Yeah,
people need to stop just watching and reacting on the last game that they've seen.
yeah,
We've been harping. I mean, my first line for the MVP was, KL Rahul and Shreyas Iyer, and KL Rahul hitting the winning run so that everybody can just shut shop about his ODI career. He's he's done and probably aced that number 5 role as good as anybody can do in this time and age. And as you rightly said, you see him at the crease, there is sense of assurity. There is no sense of nerve that okay, oh, what if he plays this one now? Oh, what if he does this now? He's playing that cut shot of stumps, of middle stump, that the one that he cut off Mehdi Hasan. And very few people are able to just be in that very complete zone that they know what they are doing. And that is something that has worked for KL Rahul in this format for some time now. So all of this should not come as a surprise. Let's just hope he's continuing to be believing in himself and being able to pull off all of this, because we talked about it even in the Asia Cup that there were a couple of chases where others, even that forget the Asia Cup, even the World Cup, the first game against Australia, he was as clinical as you can get against Australia. Almost zero chances in that knock and saw India out. Not everybody is able to do it. So, and there were many people who wanted, even former players wanted Rahul out of the side for some reason. So, again, it just tells you that we need to just be a bit more patient and watch the game and not just watch the game. I don't know
yeah.
if it makes sense, but it does.
No, you're absolutely spot on, and we've been harping upon this in all our previews. You look at our Asia Cup match previews, reviews as well. All these boys have been absolutely spot on with KL Rahul. He gives me that another word, Gurkir, at the mind, the chancelessness that he takes in his batting, but also with the DRS, which is always good to see in a World Cup campaign like this. You spoke about that as well. What else has impressed you about KL Rahul this World Cup?
to be honest, he's not done anything that he has not done before. It's
Hmm.
just that we are so many times caught in perceptions that we are not willing to see what is in front of our eyes. I remember in the 2020 in year 2022 when India went to Zimbabwe to play that ODI series. India won 3-0, and in that last game, Sikandar Raza scored a very good century, and people were after like, oh, KL's really captained poorly. That the fact that this game has come so close, but again, that was just on the basis of results. KL can't do anything because KL has more or less captained India without India playing their first side. Now, if you are going to have a few losses there, you have to understand that it's because the guy is not playing with the best of resources at hand. The same thing happened in South Africa, but people were after him. So uh, it's just that sometimes when you are caught in a perception and you want someone badly out, you just start making up things. OKL only scores runs against minnows, but the fact is, uh, someone did not score runs for Pakistan against Zimbabwe in that World T20. Someone did not score runs against Netherlands for South Africa in that World T20 and in this World Cup. So you can call someone a minnow basher or whatever you might want to call it, but it's still important to score runs against those teams as well. India would have rarely lost that game against Bangladesh in the World T20 had it not been for KL's innings. So it's what KL has done has not really surprised me. What has also not surprised me is how opinions and fortunes have turned, because it's just how things go in public life and in public perception. It's like 1 minute up, next minute down. That's cricketing fandom at very best for you, nothing else. So it's not surprising. I just hope that these innings and these outings give him enough confidence so that that confidence can be carried on into his test game, and subsequently when he plays for Lucknow in the IPL, where he just frees himself up.
Yeah.
So I genuinely think that if the social media perception around him changes, we will see a very very different KL in other formats as well and in other leagues. So let's just hope that happens. The skill was always there. It's just that we did not want to recognize what was happening in front of our eyes.
I think that's perfectly summed up with regards to KL from both of you all over there, and it's worth a clip from the social media boys. That reminds me, do follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't already. 67 people watching. I hope it's at least 50 likes right now when I go back and see the YouTube broadcast. If it hasn't been, please like it for Virat Kohli's 100, for KL Rahul's catch, for India's fourth chase in a row, and for India's inevitable World Cup title, dare I say. Karan B going on to say, in Hardik doesn't play, if Hardik doesn't play, India go with Jaddu at 7, Shami 8. Will that change Rohit's approach at the top? We just spoke about that, but we'll just quickly speak about questions really quickly because there are lots of it. Yes and no. I don't think it'll change Rohit's approach at the top at all because he seems like a man possessed. But is it food for thought, this question, Nikhil?
It will not change Rohit's approach, but I think the kind of aggression that we saw from Shreyas today, if India were batting first in that situation, we may not see that. I don't think Rohit's approach will change. I don't think the way Gill got out, because he had settled in and Virat was batting. You will still have one batter going for it, but say if you are two down before the 30th over, the onus would then be to probably go into the last 15 with only 8 wickets down, because you will
I
essentially be a batter short. So Rohit's approach remains the same. For the batters that come in, it will depend upon what the situation is.
Yeah. By the way, Neela Kannan going on to say, I think Hardik will be back in the semis. Don't say that. I think it'll definitely be sooner. Sanjay Venkateshwaran saying New Zealand have named Blundell as temporary replacement for Kane. Can India name Akshay as temporary replacement for Hardik? Only time will tell, of course. And Nikhil, I'll take this question for you, Nikhil. Shah, the last 29 games averages 9 with a strike rate of 83. How does he give us batting depth? Surely Shami is worth it. I mean, I don't know if he comes in straight away on that start, but let's see how that goes. And
Yeah.
lots of people, Nikhil, are saying this whole selfish thing. Yeah, I'll just put out lots of comments. Pranav Satpai first saying, I don't have a problem with a player playing for his 100 if the team needs 8 runs from 55 balls. I don't know why these people are calling that inning selfish. And then Pranav Mohan Lal saying, my point is, India had pocketed the game when VK started to go for his 100. That's absolutely fine. It doesn't fall in the gray area, in my opinion. It's crystal clear. Goes on to say, you won the game, you deserve the 100, and what's wrong with prioritizing milestones in such situations? Surely they account for something. But then people will be like net run rate, and people will still hate Kohli for being selfish tonight. So how do
So
you
I've
see this?
mentioned the same points which Pranav said, which is
Agreed.
why I said that it's okay. But I still feel that the bottom line is that the team has to come first and milestones have to come later.
So what
The
is
reason
Barbara? You agree with Barbara Apte boys then? Literally, if a person likes something, if those two extra runs are giving him more confidence, he's okay with it. Nikhil, you can come in here.
See, it is as simple as it can get. As long as it is not hampering team's chances, you will try and do whatever works best for every individual.
Hmm.
Now, whether it is 100, whether it is 50, whether it is that extra wicket, you saw a bowler not wanting to take a wicket because other guy had a chance to take in 10. Does that make it selfish? It is something that is often celebrated. May not be the right example that okay, it was 10, doesn't happen often. Eventually, it is a milestone. So it'll always be subjective. And in today's case, you probably end up scoring 19 runs of the last 10 balls, even with those not taking on the singles. So I don't know how much, I'm not great at that math to understand that how much that would affect the net run rate. But again, far much thing, all these things have to be taken in context. The team doesn't have to suffer, the individual actually benefits from it, and then hopefully with time we will move away from these conceptions of wanting 100. Oh, he did it, are they only 94, are they only 91, only 9. It is okay. Number one,
precisely.
team. Number two, do what is best for everybody, because it is not possible to not have the human touch, but it will take a lot of effort from the management as well, that we are not only going to look at centuries to get you in the side, we are looking at your impact. That is what matters. So let's keep it at that and stay at that only.
Okay, there's more questions coming in about Hardik and India's possible changes. We'll tell you about that. Just quickly, just shedding light on both the teams tonight and their road ahead. We'll start with India, of course. And remember, this is what their fixtures lie ahead, at least in the group stage. New Zealand next, the all important fixture on Sunday at Dharamsala. And of course, not to forget the one which follows that Sunday is England and Lucknow. That'll be an absolute lip smacking contest, 100%. Then you have the repeat of the 2011 final, beg your pardon, against Sri Lanka. That game happened April 2nd, 2011. This one's happening November 2nd, 2023. So it'll be interesting to see, even though Sri Lanka are down in the dumps in terms of the points and injuries and all of that. But the one that really will catch the eye is against South Africa, Virat Kohli's birthday at Kolkata. And then they finish up against Netherlands in Bangalore. Bangladesh, on the other hand, they have some tough games as well. Pretty much 4 out of 5, you would say that they'll really have to kind of grind it out a result there. Netherlands might not be so straightforward as well. So this is how it looks for the men in green. They go to Mumbai and then Kolkata twice before finishing in the venue that they played today against India at Australia. And just a kind reminder, tomorrow is another big day for us at cricket.com and in the World Cup, because we're going to be at Bangalore, which is the cricket.com headquarters. And you can find me, maybe not in Australian jersey, but you can find me around the fans there, probably putting some Pakistan fans to the test, grilling some Aussie fans, depending on how the result goes, of course. So if you want to feature on cricket.com fan cams, check us out around the Chinnaswamy Stadium, and we'll be there pre-match and post-match as well. And if you guys are lucky, I'll probably even buy you guys a beer. So look, more incentive to come and check us out, and of course feature on the fan cams. Right, let's take some more question, boys, and finish up, because honestly, lots of people watching, and that's what I love, and that's why I'm elongating it. So apologies if you guys have to quickly go get your dinner. Will 2 wins be enough in terms of qualification scenario? Nikhil Baiju asks. I'm guessing he's talking about from the India perspective. So 6 into 2, that's 12 points.
Yes.
So not really, right? 14 is the
No,
match.
six should be the magic number because you have to play 9 games. So if you win 6 games, you are through. But I think India will probably target more. Uh, yeah, there are 5 more games to go. India would think that okay, we should try and win at least 3 of them. There's Netherlands, Sri Lanka, which you'd really expect India to win. And even if things don't work out as per plan, you would expect India to win at least one out of the games against New Zealand, South Africa, and England. So I think
Okay,
India would really be targeting around 7 wins.
fair enough.
Seven
By
is
the way,
what India had in 2019 also.
I know, and they topped the table and they went out, which is of course bizarre. Max Bojo kind of clearing it up in the comments, saying Rahul just gave an interview right now to the broadcaster, and he said Virat didn't want it, Rahul pushed for it. So I don't know if the messaging is come from whoever, but that'll definitely buy Virat some time indeed. Pranavan asking you next, suppose Hardik is fit enough to bat but not fit enough to bowl, would you still bring in Sky or play Pandya as a specialist batter?
I won't, because see, it's an ankle injury, right?
They're
Yeah.
saying left hand scans also required. So I think the fall might have kind of had not just one injury, but two. So minor and major. But they're still like, even if you rest him for the Dharamshala game, right, Nikhil? But I'm thinking to yourself, you have so much time. You have the points in the bag.
2 weeks, 2 weeks.
You can
Yeah.
probably wrap him in cotton wool. Shouldn't India do that, Nikhil?
Yeah, I think that's what they'll do, and I don't think it'll only help playing him as a specialist batter. Again, you could possibly play, say, Surya in the next 2 games, see how he goes, and if you get no confidence from there, and you feel that no, I would rather have Hardik there, and maybe after those 2 games, you feel that now Hardik should be fit enough to bowl after a couple of games or one game, maybe that possibly helps you. But if there is any doubt, as I said, they'll take utmost care to not risk him because it is not going to be worth it. So again, and also you have 4 wins already, so it is possibly going to just be situational and depending on, because if you see in this table only 2 teams have 4 wins, everybody else has max 2. So it will take some time for other teams to also catch up with you in terms of points, and everybody is going to play each other. So somebody will always keep the other in check. So I don't think it's gotten to a stage where you want to risk somebody just as a specialist in terms of batter. So hopefully that's not needed because his
Okay.
bowling will definitely be key.
But music to our ears, as Rohit said, no major damage about Pandya when asked by Mark
Good.
Nicholas at the post-match presentation, which is good to see. And also, many people are saying Virat Kohli bowling today was also a highlight. Why didn't you talk about his team presentation? I mean, mazak chal raha hai kya? It's insane how
Yeah.
much the country loves Virat, and why not? Honest to God. Final couple of questions, and then we'll wrap proceedings. Of course, isn't it time now India tested themselves batting first in any of these games, upcoming toss? Your thoughts, Gurkirat? Surely that's the next one that they want to take off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a venue where, given it's a day-night game, they should look to bat first, because I do expect swing to happen in the second innings over there, and I feel there will be swing in Delhi and Lucknow also in the second innings, because the mercury is dropping. So yeah, hopefully they can win the toss and choose to bat first. But if New Zealand win the toss and choose to bat first, then you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, that's something to keep in mind for sure. By the
But
way, really, really
actually,
good.
if you think about it, if India actually go without Hardik and they have Jadeja at 7 with Shami at 8, then they could also prefer opting to chase, because if you don't have batting depth, going with the chasing route makes it easier for your batters to plan how
Plan.
to approach their innings.
Yeah. Why the hell have not people liked this video? I mean, it's honestly
Yeah.
crazy. 30 likes already in just 72 people watching. So, all you other 42 people, please like this video for Virat Kohli, for ODIs to stay alive, for Indian team to win the World Cup, whatever you guys want, please like this video and subscribe if you guys are new. 36.7 is, of course, hitting our screens. What else is hit our screens already? Me with Melinda Farrell, we did breakfast today and we spoke about the Australia Pakistan game. We spoke about how Australia cooked. That is available on the YouTube platform as well. Took her to the beautiful airlines for Dosa, and that's something to get your teeth into after this particular review. Right, gentlemen, it's been absolute brilliant watch. At least Virat made it in the last 20 minutes or so. Otherwise, honestly, no one cared, right, Gurkirat?
Yeah, I mean, it did get a little
You
boring
were
in the
messaging
last.
me saying, "Bhai, boring है ये match. क्या हो
Huh,
रहा है?"
that's what I'm saying. It became boring because India were not being challenged. But I just wanted to say, quarrel with Farrell, like you said, maybe Melinda would have understood what I go through every day.
She did. I
With
was
you.
explaining the Gurkirat syndrome, which, if you know, you know. We'll leave it there,
There
guys.
is no
36.
syndrome like that. Kuch bhi.
Okay, enough of banter right now. We all need to go get our dinners. And Nikhil, thank you so much for your time. Gurkirat, brilliant as
Yes.
ever. You guys have the ticks on your t-shirts. We should say that essentially India also have all the stars in terms of being aligned to win this World Cup. Hopefully, dare I say. Thanks so much for watching. So goodbye and good night from me. And of course, Australia Pakistan tomorrow. So there'll be the preview, review, and fan cams. Join us then. And Virat Kohli fans, God bless you because you guys have got exactly what you wanted. Cheers. Bye.